If you were talking trash during camp. And
Who? Dort?
JG?
Oh, JG, yeah. I have been, yep. I'm upping my game, too. I got some good creative stuff. Write it down the night before. Stretch lines. It's the time to get after them. And then I go to the defensive guys like, guys, I need your back on this one. I just dug myself a hole. Make sure we cover Trey today.
What have you seen early on from Darius Robinson? It seems like in high tempo he's had some success getting home.
Yeah, he's done some really good things in the run and pass game, and honestly that whole group is doing a really good job, I'd say, being complete football players. On rush downs, they're getting after the quarterback, and on run downs, they're anchoring double teams and they're winning one-on-ones. So I'm pleased with the progress of that whole room.
He's talked about playing multiple spots along the line. Is there any technique that he's really maybe above the rest of his repertoire?
Yeah, a lot of those guys have to play a lot of techniques, and what we try to do is make it so that there's a lot of carryover between the techniques. And so, once you learn a handful of techniques, specifically up front, but really at every position, that those techniques don't just go with one call. They can go to multiple calls. And you do that so that you can really hone in and master certain techniques, but also be multiple on defense and feel like you can execute at a high level.
When you got to the off season, I know that Monty talks to you guys in terms of getting input and stuff, but did you have the idea that as many upgrades and options were going to be added for the defensive line in terms of multiple free agents and obviously going to the draft? This line's considerably different than it was.
Yeah, Monty ultimately makes all that stuff happen, and the role of the coaches is to help kind of create a clear picture of what we think the role of each guy can be. And, as coaches, even probably I would say as a front office, you don't know how things are going to go exactly throughout free agency or the draft, and that's why you have to go through the process of every guy and have a vision for what it could be. But, those things shake out how they shake out. That's ultimately our job, is to whoever we get, develop them. And, I think it's not just the defensive line, it's every room, whether it was people that were acquired this offseason or people that are returning for year two. There's been progress.
Garrett moved outside quite a bit at practice, and Jade, you said that was always the plan. It was more just last year he was coming in late after rehab. What have you seen from Garrett, and what does he have that allows him to be as versatile as you regularly?
Extremely intelligent. Extremely locked into not just the details of his assignment, but the technique. And, he obviously does a really good job for us at nickel. And now this year he's starting to take more reps at base corner, and he's doing a really good job, and even some sub corner. He's doing a really good job of making it look like he's been playing that position, just because he prepares the way he prepares, and he's highly intelligent. So it's been a smooth transition. He played that position obviously in college as well, but I feel good with him inside and outside right now.
Larry's been getting a lot of reps with the first team defense.
Yep.
What do you like about him out there, and what kind of growth has he made to get to that?
Yeah, so BJ he has a complete skill set to play within what we do. Believe it or not, very good space player and coverage player. Didn't have to necessarily do it a lot in college, and when he got here, you could see it right away that just his athleticism takes over, but it's natural to him as well. So I love that part of his game. And then he's been setting some really good edges. I'm always on him, challenging to play lower than the opponent, and when he does that, I really like what I see in the run and the pass game. So he's doing a good job of being that complete player. I think I talk about this with you guys a lot with the outside backers, right? We put a lot on their plate in terms of being able to rush, being able to set the edges in the run game, and be able to play coverage. And, he's doing a great job, and that whole room is doing a really good job of those three skills.
Because you said that he and Mac have a tight relationship already. What have you seen from that duo, and how can it help you guys come the regular season?
Violent. Those two are violent guys. They love ball, and they do gel good together. That they're highly intelligent too. I'm really happy with both those guys, and in terms of the mental process, this is Mac's first year in the system. It looks like it's his fourth year in the system. It's just picking up really fast. And Kaiser, I'm seeing things like Kaiser be ahead of this and like, boom, they motion and he's getting us into a check. And he's just seeing it really fast right now. So I know how they're going to play. I know their mode of play because they've proven that over the course of their careers in this league. But they're gelling really well together. And honestly, I'm impressed with that whole room's intelligence. To be honest, I feel like anyone can go out there and put a lot on any of those guys' plate, and they're going to go out and put us in the right defense.
Can it be like what you had in Philly? Sorry. Can it be like what you had with TJ and Kazir in Philly?
Yeah, absolutely. But everybody's their own player. What made TJ and Kaiser good together, it might be different with Mac and Kaiser together. So you never try to like recreate something. Everyone has their own unique skill set, personality, whatever that is, and you try to get the most out of who they are.
When you envision the ideal version of this pass rush, what does that look like to you?
Probably like hitting the quarterback as fast as possible. Whatever we need to on a week-to-week basis. There's a lot that plays into that. The quarterback, the offense, the pass game, the protections, the offensive line, how they set, who they have. So that can look different, week to week. Ultimately, it is about affecting that quarterback and making him feel, whether it's a sack, a hit, a hurry, whatever that is. But you do need to collapse the pocket, and you can't let the quarterback sit back there and be comfortable all day.
I feel like with those guys, you talk a lot about versatility. Why does that matter?
This music is bumping right now.
You gotta yell.
Yeah, the versatility allows you to do what I just talked about and play multiple styles, depending on what you need to do on a week-to-week basis.
What's your assessment of how Buddha played his first year in your system, and what do you hope to see from him in his second year now going into it?
Yeah, I mean, Buddha's highly intelligent, and he's a great football player. We all know that. And so first year in the system didn't actually look like first year in the system. He picked it up extremely fast and played at a high level. And Buddha and just everyone else, too, not just Buddha, first-year guys or second-year guys. Like, you want to see them get to the point where they know it, and they're comfortable in going out and playing free within the system, right? You never want guys to be bogged down because they start to play slower, they start to play more hesitant. But when you know it, and you can play fast and you just problem solve. It's this defense is about rules, not memorization, right? I don't want them memorizing how to play things. I want them to play with the rules and go make plays. And, Buddha's at that point with a lot of other guys are at that point because that's when you play with a high motor and you play violently on defense.
Rest day yesterday. So the foundation, what you guys saw was already there, but what has he shown to have earned the first team reps in practice?
Yeah, you got to deny the ball. You have to be able to win your one-on-one matchups, and when you have the stressful down, whatever that looks like within our coverages, you have to be able to win. And he's done that, and there's really good competition in that room right now. A lot of guys are playing at that level and winning their one-on-one. So I'm excited to continue and see the growth of that whole room, not just Max, but all those guys, and it's really good competition right now.
3 or 4 corners that you can send out there to play outside or whatnot?
I'd love to have 10 corners you could send out there to play outside. Yeah, absolutely. I can't have enough good players.
Is it exciting as a defensive coaching staff to have such a young cornerback group, a group that you can kind of form in your image?
I think young, old doesn't necessarily play a huge, excited versus not excited. I think you want good football players. I think you want guys that are going to show up every day and work to maximize themselves and put the team first because that's what's going to help you win games.
Is there anything defensively that sticks out in terms
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is there anything defensively that sticks out these first few weeks that you haven't been overly pleased about? Anything that you want to see more of?
No, that's a good question because every practice, someone asks how to go. And the honest answer every day is going to be there's mistakes here that need to get cleaned up. There's good stuff here, and it's usually kind of scattered all over the place, right? Every guy, it might be a guy making a new mistake and you got to correct it. It might be a guy that's, hey, now this has been a couple days in a row that you've done this, it could be better. We got to correct this. But it's usually not just like all encompassing, like we clearly did this really well, and that's not necessarily how it goes. And you just have to make sure that you're really on those details with each guy of what do they have to improve from one day or the other day. And then if there's an overarching theme with a guy, you got to make sure that you really hone in now, okay, hey, why is this continuing to happen and how can we get it corrected?
What have you and your guys learned about defending Marvin?
Yeah, he's a good player, and, you got to be able to win your one-on-one when you're going against Marvin.
Shannon told us that during camp and other times during the year last year, guys will stop his office and talk, ask questions, this, that, and the other thing. Is there one guy who's always busting you in your room and saying, what do you think of this? What do you think of this?
Well, so right now at the hotel, I'm in the D-line room, and Ben Stilley is definitely the guy who is on the details about, hey, if this, and this happens, like, what do we do? I'm like, man, great question. Let's talk about that quick as a unit or as a D-line. So he's always there, bringing up really good coaching points. He thinks in great detail about the game. So he's one that comes to mind, definitely. I'd say it's every day he comes up with something good, or even honestly an idea. And sometimes I'll be like, yeah, let's try it. It's a great idea. Or like, give it a day and we'll wait on it. But, oh, yeah. Yeah, I talk to the players all the time about the importance of communication. Ben's one example, but there's definitely a lot of guys that are either communicating with me or their position coach or JG on every aspect of our preparation, whether, hey, I really like this, or this is confusing me, or, hey, I don't like this, could we try adjusting this? And it's not a my way or the highway approach. We want to maximize everybody on the field, and the coach's job and everyone who works in this building's job is to serve the players. And so if it's something that can better serve the players to get them to play at their highest level, which is going to help win games, then you want to do that. And so you want to keep those communication channels open so that you make sure that you don't look past any detail. So 5 buckets, man. Tell me about it. Like that's the key. And so I appreciate the players having that back and forth. Communication has to go up and down the chain.
Is Hoodie making a return this season?
We'll see. Possibly.
The NFL put rules in place to kind of limit what you can do with the cheat motion. You have the Rams and Niners in your division who use that motion. Did you notice last year that either guys were rolling into their routes and maybe not staying horizontal, or were kind of pushing the envelope a little bit?
I always try to pause the film because, sometimes they time it up so well. I'm like, I swear he's moving for a snap, and I go slow-mo, and I'm like, well, it's perfectly timed. So, they do a great job with those motions, and I'll let the officials handle if they feel like it's shaven or not.
Was off yesterday? Was it a scheduled thing, or is he going with it?
I'll let JG talk about that, but he's going to be good to go for today.
When you talk, go ahead.
Starling looks like he's taking another step. What have you just seen in his training camp?
As Star likes to say, he's tapped in. Star's tapped in right now. He is very on his preparation. All 5 buckets. So he's going to be doing extra, meeting with his coach, scheme, technique. He's out there right now at practice. That's why I want to get out there soon. He's working on things that in his technique that he needs to work on before practice starts. He gets after it in the weight room. He maximizes his recovery. So he's doing everything right, and he's becoming a better player because of it.
To the pass rush for a sec. When you think about when you're looking at getting more pressure from blitzes, do you feel like that's more of an issue of player development, developing these guys, or scheme stuff?
Both. You want to be able to pressure and have a free runner. You also want to be able to pressure and have a one-on-one matchup with a certain guy, whether it's an offensive lineman or a back, and win that one-on-one matchup. So it's a combination of both. You're not going to, every time you pressure, depending on how many you send, to have free runners, and you have to win one-on-one matchups as well. So you want to continue to develop your edge rushers, which that's going to be, one-on-one with the tackles. You want to improve your interior rushers. You want to improve your blitzers on backs. But then you also want to be able to execute pressures that can get home with free runners. So it's a combination of all those.
Have your schemes on those been a focus this offseason? Is that fair to say?
We assess everything schematically at the end of the last season, so the start of the off season, and we do what we need to do to make adjustments. Where we feel the game is heading in 2024, or what we feel like we could have done better from the previous year, or how we could deploy and use our current new personnel in a different way. So it's part of the whole process with everything we do.
33 sacks last year. I think it was your lowest, I think, 14, 15 years. Is the pass rush ultimately graded on sacks? That number?
No, you got to be able to look at the rush. Do you want sacks? Absolutely, right? Especially on first and second down, you want to be able to get after the quarterback and put them in a second and long or third and longer situation. But you can't overlook the affecting the pocket as well, because not every good rush is going to always end in a sack, and that's not necessarily something. Yeah, I know hurries and hits do have a statistic, but you do have to look at how the quarterback is affected in his pocket, and is he able to step up into it? Or some games, the main goal might have to be to keep a quarterback in the pocket, right? Because he's got a skill set that if he gets outside, it's trouble. So sacks, you obviously you want sacks, right? Especially on early downs, those can kill drives. But you got to look at it in totality too, and really hone in on, are we affecting the quarterback like we need to?
Was there any point last year when you felt like the pressures that you guys were getting on quarterbacks was where you wanted it to be?
Yeah, that's a week-to-week thing. You probably walk away from some games saying that was a really good pressure. Some games you're mad at yourself. Maybe you called it at the wrong time. Maybe it wasn't the right thing to attack their protection. So I don't think it was a black and white thing at some point in the year. Oh, this is where we want it to be. It's something week to week that you got to assess. Did we plan it the right way? And if you didn't, you got to learn from it. And next time you got to do it better.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.